evening. You're watching News Night. Not good news for Indian cricket fans everywhere. India has lost to New Zealand today in the semi-final of the 2019 World Cup. And it's a sad day, really, because India did play rather well while bowling, and the top order completely collapsed. There was a rearguard effort by Mahindra Singh Dhoni along with Ravindra Jadeja, who played well to get India very close to the victory target. But Jadeja went out when he shouldn't have, and an unfortunate run-out, really, a direct hit from Martin Guptill resulted in Mahindra Singh Dhoni's wicket being lost. And after that, really, it was curtains for Team India. Joining us right now is Kishore Bhimani, along with Mr. Bimal Soni. Joining us also will be Atul Vasan in just a bit. But I'd like to start with Mr. Bhimani. Mr. Bhimani, it's never easy really to do a post-mortem on a day like this when India's World Cup dream has been shattered by New Zealand today. But if you had to put a finger to really one or two things that we could have done better, that perhaps didn't go wrong. I know I have my thoughts on it, and I'll save those for later. I'll let the experts talk first. But what do you think went wrong today?
Well, may I start by telling you a story that in 1983, when India won the World Cup, I talked to Lloyd. Lloyd happens to be a good friend of mine, and I talked to Clive Lloyd afterwards. He had one sentence to say. I didn't ask him what went wrong. He said, "We batted like millionaires." Today, the Indians batted like millionaires. There was one or two miracle wickets. There was that Dinesh Karthik who got out to a catch, which I still cannot believe happened.
Yeah.
But the others, they were so casual about their shots. They didn't seem to have the intent of a World Cup semi-final. And they seemed complacent. I'm sorry to say this, that they wouldn't be complacent in a World Cup semi-final match, but that's how they appeared. I'm very sorry, but I was devastated that I thought they didn't apply themselves. The shot selection was poor.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the shot selections were definitely questionable, and we'll get to that in just a bit here. But Bimal Soni, clearly it's a tough one for all of us today. It's a hard day for all cricket fans, but do you agree that the Indian top order should have done much better than it did? In fact, I saw the entire match when I could today. Rohit Sharma's wicket went off to a good ball, perhaps, but Virat Kohli, for example, also went off to a good ball. There was no footwork anywhere. The rest of the top order, like Mr. Bhimani said, batted like millionaires.
Well, I have 2 points to say. I agree with Kishore Bhimani when I say we took it casually. We didn't take it casually, we were overconfident. And when you have a collapse in cricket, it's very difficult to rectify things. And that's what happened with India today. But at the same time, I am bewildered why a match was played in 2 days with the same scoreline being continued. We should have had a fresh match. ICC has made a very weird ruling that the match can continue for 2 days. And once India was having 211 for 6, they were confident that they've done reasonably well to restrict New Zealand. And that confidence brought them to lethargy or overconfidence or whatever you may say. And when we lost 3 wickets, 4 wickets, it became very painful for the others to recover. But still, Dhoni and Jadeja did a fantastic recovery, but in the end we lost the match. So I think overall this was a good game of cricket. In cricket, collapses happen, and it was not India's day.
But do you think we peaked too early? And I also want to come to what I thought really was a bad move. I don't know whose call it was to send Dhoni so far down the order. I particularly believed after a couple of wickets had fallen, we were 3 down, 4 down. Dhoni should have got inside, taken his time, gotten his eye in. It could have been easier for us. I'm no cricket expert, but I believe that was a wrong call. Would you agree with me, Bhimani, Mr. Bhimani?
You know, I really believe that you are absolutely right. If you remember, Sanjay Manjrekar was on the mic at the time. There were 2 other commentators discussing this and said, what on earth is this? Why is he sending out Hardik so early? Hardik is a hitter of the ball. doesn't have as much experience as Dhoni. Dhoni could have brought his decade and a half of experience to that level, and he would have played, he would have stuck around, and they could have played around him. And but let him settle in. Let him give the confidence back to his fellow batsmen. Instead, I think he took a totally, let's not mince words, he took a totally wrong call by sending Hardik in. Now, there were two people in the middle, Hardik and Rishabh Pant. They are both strikers of the ball. Rishabh is too young, and he's just about started his international career. And there was, of course, Hardik, who is not a long-distance horse. They are horses for courses. This is today so true in cricket. I don't know if Dhoni had been captain, I promise you he would have come in at number 5.
It would make sense. I mean, conventional wisdom
even number 4.
Yeah, conventional wisdom would suggest, Mr. Soni, the fact that Dhoni, who has a wealth of experience, this is a pressure match. It's not any other match that we're playing right now. It's a semi-final of a World Cup, our best shot really to get to the finals. And we already had a top-order collapse. The more experienced, cooler heads who are out there, the more time they spent at the crease, the better chances we would have had to win. I wonder whose call it was really to keep pushing back Dhoni, and he came at number 7, 5 down, I remember. If he had come down at perhaps 3 down, 4 down, we could have had a different result today.
No, I agree with Kishore, and I agree with you that Dhoni should have come earlier on, and with Hardik Pandya in reserves, and had Jadeja and Pandya been there, we could have done better. But I think it was a little overconfidence on Indian team's part also, and not the right judgment done by the captain by sending in Hardik earlier. So I agree with my panel. And
there was some talk also. Perhaps it might not have been Kohli's call ultimately. Perhaps it was a joint call by Mr. Shastri, who was all there as well. We don't know for sure, but I'm not sure whether you buy into that. Was it Kohli's call to send Hardik Pandya in front of Dhoni? And if it was a bad captaincy call, I might add.
I think so too. But a decision taken is taken. And I am also sure that they were confident that they would carry the things. And as Bhimani has said, with Rishabh Pant and Pandya together, that was a bad combination. They should have had a stabilizer in Dhoni, and we could have kept Pandya for later with Rishabh Pant.
Correct.
And probably he could have guided Rishabh much better rather than throw his wicket away.
Well, I want to take you back to the time when Rishabh Pant was in fact starting to play his shots, and we were all, of course, feeling hopeful that the innings was stabilizing and Rishabh Pant was finally playing his shots. He got a couple of lifelines as well, but the shot selection there, as far as Pant is concerned, Mr. Bhimani, clearly inexperience showing there. Even though he was getting set there, he had spent enough time out in the middle there as well. The shot that ultimately led to his wicket was the wrong shot to play at that point in time. He had no need to go over the top on that ball, knowing the fielder was out there as well. That's just pure inexperience for you, isn't it?
You see, more than inexperience, he cannot occasionally, he's a very impulsive player. He cannot resist the temptation. And what captains do against him is they set him up. They let him score a couple of boundaries, and then instead of buckling down, he carries on in the same vein. Now, this is what was wrong. And also, you don't blame Rishabh, because you know that is Rishabh. That is the way he's going to play. He hasn't got the maturity to hit a 4 and then hit a single and cross over and rotate strike. He hasn't got that maturity. And I think it started with the call being bad. What happens is, when you see 3 batsmen out for 5 runs, now already you are under pressure. On top of that, Rishabh comes out and he released the pressure, mind you.
Yeah.
Played a few shots, had a smile on his face, seemed to be perfectly all right. But you know, then you could have sent Dhoni. Dhoni would have stabilized
for me also, it keeps coming back to that one particular decision. It keeps coming back to me for that one particular decision, as we introduce Atul Vasan also joining us right now, former India cricketer. Atul, not a good day for us. It's a hard one. It's a tough one for all of us. But for me personally, I keep going back to the decision not to send Dhoni in earlier. And Kishore and Mr. Bimal Soni and I have been speaking about this throughout this program. Do you believe if Dhoni had come in earlier, his experience, his wealth of experience in a pressure game like this, perhaps you could have had a different outcome?
No, not really. I think, hindsight is perfect vision, so we can all criticize. But I think at that point, Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli must have thought, just to keep back Dhoni as an insurance policy if we get close. And Jadeja got us into a winnable position. It was just Dhoni's lack of support at the last bit of his innings that led to Jadeja getting out. I think if he would have just changed gears about 6-8 deliveries before Jadeja got out, I think we could have had a different outcome. But they still tried. I mean, we were done and dusted when we lost first 5-6 wickets, and I think you can find faults in it, but we shouldn't have lost those 3 early wickets. That is where we lost the game. New Zealand only had one chance to get early wickets, and they did. The wicket was bound to be slower today than yesterday. It was never going to be that easy, as we all believed. The fans believed that the cup was already in our hand, and cricket is not played on paper or in your mind. You got to walk the talk, you got to deliver when it matters, and India did not. Just bad luck, one bad game, but it was a lovely trip till the semi-finals we played to our billing.
Oh, cricket's a funny game. It's also an equalizer, really. Perhaps a lot of lessons to be learnt, and I agree with you. It's easy to criticize, Atul. But let me just go back to a couple of things also that I want to get out, really. Kishore Bhimani on this show said today that the Indian top order batted like millionaires without a care in the world. Shot selection was not great. Was it lethargy? Was it overconfidence? Or was it just India perhaps believing that they already had the match? What was it?
No, I don't believe that, but yeah, Copland says here at times, you feel that, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Atul, that's for you, Atul. Go ahead, Atul.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think so. I mean, you can say some loose shots were there, but you got to realize you're up against probably the two best bowlers in the world. Trent Bolt and Lockie Ferguson has been superb, and Santner. I mean, that was the surprise for me that he bowled such a tight spell against Indian players who are good on spin. But by that time, the stranglehold was right on there. So I think we should have played tighter cricket. Law of averages were bound to catch up with Rohit. You can put it down to that, but I was expecting more from KL Rahul in this game. He just gave us the confidence with that 100, and Rishabh did his job a little bit. Even Pandya couldn't strike the ball the way he does, and Jadeja was a bonus. Otherwise, and Dhoni's last 8 deliveries probably will leave a bad taste in the mouth. Otherwise, I think full marks to New Zealand.
All right, full marks to New Zealand. Can't dispute that. They played a tough game. They played tighter cricket than India did, clearly, especially when they were bowling and fielding. That particular catch, that was a complete stunner there. I believe Mr. Bhimani wants to come in on this as well. And again, Mr. Bhimani, I completely agree with you. That one catch by Nisham, I think it was a complete stunner, perhaps changed the course of the game as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nisham catch which dismissed Dinesh Karthik.
Yes.
I have not seen 45 years of cricket. I don't remember that I was so ecstatic over a catch as I was over this one. It seemed that he went backwards in time. When the ball was just about to hit the ground, the hand suddenly appeared under it. It was an amazing catch. So you must give, as Atul says, we must give New Zealand the due. That they played out of their skins. They played incredible cricket. But in face of that incredible cricket, I think Indians were a little below par. I still think that the sending Dhoni early would have made a lot of difference. And it's all in cricket, it's all ifs and buts. But that's one of the opinions. Okay. And the commentators at the time, they were saying, where is Dhoni? Why has Dhoni not come in? I agreed with them.
Okay, Mr. Soni, I mean, I know it's never easy really to actually take a loss like this. India's dream in the World Cup has been shattered this far and no further, but it was really a good run. Do you think, and this could be controversial if I put it out there, do you think India peaked slightly early? I mean, look at England. They've peaked perfectly at the right amount of time. Do you think India peaked slightly early in terms of our batting performance, Rohit and the others, along with the others in the bowling department as well? Do you think that could have been a problem today?
No, I don't think so. India is a talented side. I think we were overconfident. And in cricket, overconfidence doesn't work. The minor collapse we had, we could have rectified it, as Bhimani is saying, by sending in Dhoni in between earlier. And don't forget, Jadeja played a gem of an innings. So we did try to recover. We do have the talent. We were the favourites to win the World Cup. But unfortunately, in cricket, you can bat bad day. And I again repeat which I had said earlier, two-day matches like this, which are carried forward on second day, is not one-day cricket. I don't know why ICC has done it. If there is a washout, DL method has to be worked out, Duckworth Lewis. If it doesn't happen, then play the match again. But you can't continue the match. But since this rule has been made, what has happened today is confident India collapsing, then middle order problems, and we can postmortem it, we can criticize it. But I think India was overnight very confident of winning this match, and they lost it.
Atul, would you agree that the lag in between, the overnight rest that the Indians got really could have messed with their focus, their momentum? It's not easy to pick up really. And when we did leave it yesterday, I think there were 211 for 6 or 7, and India was in a great position. We were almost bowled them out for 220 if it had gone on yesterday. Do you think that particular rest could have messed with our focus at some level?
Yeah, no, it's not the rest. Yes, it just breaks the momentum, it breaks the rhythm. Because once you are on top, you think that you can do it today. And the conditions also were better. Today, you must realize when the covers came on, there was no water getting on the pitch. Now, the pitch has not been watered or rolled, and then it's an old pitch. We already saw New Zealand struggling on this pitch. It was sluggish. It was not the kind of pitch we saw in Australia, South Africa game. So, the more time passes, the pitch will get slower, and that is also must have been in the mind. So they wanted to get a game on, but in hindsight, yesterday we would have got on. Then it was a slugfest of 20 overs with we needing about 7.5 an over. That could have been tricky as well. So I mean, it's 6 and 2 threes. You can't really comment on something is hypothetical, but yes, I think the break in rhythm and the momentum was not good for India.
But do you think this rule will survive, could sustain? Is it going to be the benchmark from now on? Because I can foresee a lot of people having a problem with the carry-on match like this in the future. Atul?
Well, what do you do? I mean, it's a knockout game, so there's no way out. And India has played two-day one-day nationals before also in World Cup. In '83, we did it. We won that game in I think 2000, in 1999. We did the same thing. We played a two-day and once more also. So this time it didn't work for us. But in a knockout game, you need reserve days, especially when you're playing in England, because you can't be having a toss of coin or a super over and just decide a month and a half's campaign.
Okay, fair enough. I would now go across the panel now for takeaways and lessons learned from this game and this heartbreaking loss really in the 2019 World Cup. Also, perhaps there's a silver lining here. I think I strongly believe Rohit Sharma is still in contention firmly for the man of the series, 5 centuries, world record. So clearly he's one of the front runners there. But apart from that, one by one, starting with Mr. Bimal Soni, what do we take away from here? What are the lessons today that the Indian cricket team, along with Captain Kohli, Coach Ravi Shastri and the seniors should take away from this loss? Mr. Soni?
Well, the top 3 at upper level batted very well, but we are still very, dicey in the middle order. So what lesson we should take is we have to stabilize that, whether it's Dinesh Karthik or Rishabh Pant or whoever it is. And Dhoni is aging, so we have to have a proper wicketkeeper for the future. But I think this is a very good side, well-balanced side, and India has got a bright future. Of course, we have been unlucky in this World Cup campaign.
Okay, silver linings, Mr. Bhimani, pros and cons for you, top 3?
Well, the most important thing I take away from this is I was getting very upset over the last few days when the supporters of the game, people who are the fans, the cricketing fans, the supporters of India, everyone assumed that we had won. Or we were, of course, in the final. Now, that took me back to 1987. 1987, I remember in Calcutta, at the Eden Garden, people assumed that India would play Pakistan. Pakistan was playing the semi-final against Australia in Lahore, and India were playing against Gooch, Englishmen in Bombay. And they said India will win, Pakistan will win the final. The tickets were selling for 30,000-40,000 rupees each. It was ridiculous. I had just come from Pakistan, having covered that semi-final. I went to Bombay, saw that semi-final and came to Calcutta. And do you know that people who had bought tickets for the final, a large number of them didn't turn up. It was the actual users were people, you know, their chauffeurs, the people who work for them, clerical staff, because it was deflation. People got deflated. Why? Because too much had been expected. In cricket, the spectator should also learn, the players, everyone should take a lesson from this, that nothing is preordained in cricket. Form is fine, but what happens on one given day, it's 11 against 11. There's luck of the draw. There's luck of the, you know, how the catches are spilled or not. Today, all that happens, and I think the expectation should never be that high, and we should always play to our best ability.
The weight of expectations, Atul, is something that, you know, in the Indian cricket team, of course, because it's one of the best performing teams across the world on a regular basis, the weight of expectations is always there, and you can't really grudge spectators for that. But do you think sometimes we have a tendency to sometimes go overboard and already assume before the result is out that we are in the final, or we won the cup, or we're the best out of all of these? Because after all, as Mr. Bhimani said, it's who wins on that day. Whoever plays better wins, and today I believe New Zealand was the better team.
Well, yeah, we know it. I mean, Kishore knows it, you know it, but the Indian fans are a bit immature. So, I mean, we just got swayed since yesterday. Rohit Sharma's hundreds were coming out of my ears. Virat Kohli's averages. You know, people don't realize it's just a cricket game. So, it's just a good lesson that it's never over till it's over. And I don't want to analyze any cricket and where we'll be in 4 years. It'll all be taken care of. Indian cricket is in good hands. We've got good cream of players coming through, and everything will be sorted. So, for me, the silver lining is I was going to make a decision to go to London to watch the finals tonight. So that means that it saves me a trip. The tickets for finals will be cheaper. So if anybody wants to watch a World Cup final, this is a chance for you guys. And there'll be exodus of people coming back to India. Indian team is going to be hanging around till the final anyway. So might as well play a match for the 3rd and 4th position.
All right, fair enough. Those are the silver linings, and there are many, of course. Although I would like to end this show today by thanking all my guests, and also perhaps suggesting to the spectators and fans who already have tickets, who are anticipated an India final really, to still go out and watch the cricket, enjoy the cricket. It doesn't matter India is not playing the final. It is, after all, a beautiful game. You must go out. If you bought tickets for the final, you must go out and watch well, perhaps support the one team that will be playing New Zealand. It could be either England or Australia, and perhaps cheer them on as well. But I agree with Atul Wasan as well when he says that Indian cricket is in good hands. We have a good crop of players coming up right now, a great mix of great explosive talent and experience as well, and we have a bench strength as well. We just need to blood few more youngsters and perhaps get them sorted temperament-wise. Again, I'd like to repeat, this is not an easy one to take for any Indian cricket fan. It's a tough one. It's a tough loss, but we'll take it on our chin and we'll progress forward. And best of luck to New Zealand in the final, and whoever wins, India, England, Australia, may the better team win there. Thank you, Kishore Bhimani. Thank you, Atul Wasan. And thank you, Bimal Soni, for joining us. That's all the time we have on Newsnight today. I've been Athar Khan, and thank you for watching.